21st of April 2025. This is a brand new edition of Newsfirst's Primetime News, coming to you live and direct from our Newsfirst studios here in Colombo. Bringing you the news tonight for the Newsfirst team, I am Chamar.
And I'm Naveksha Gunasekara. Here are your headlines for tonight.
Pope Francis passes away, aged 88. 6 years since the 2019 Easter Sunday attacks, 167 victims of the Kochikade and Katua blasts named heroes of faith by the Vatican. Defeated political forces and certain media institutions attempting to disrupt probes into Easter Sunday attacks, says Cardinal. Exposition hours of the sacred tooth relic extended. Thousands of devotees visit Kandy. Bribery Commission issues another notice for former President Ranil. IGP Deshabandhu Tennakon ordered to appear before court on 25th April for disobeying court orders.
Pope Francis, the leader of the Roman Catholic Church, has died at the age of 88. St. Peter's Square in Vatican City is filled with people following the announcement of Pope Francis's death.
Carissimi fratelli e sorelle.
Cardinal Kevin Farrell of the Apostolic Chamber announced the death of Pope Francis from the Casa Santa Marta with these words: "Dearest brothers and sisters, with deep sorrow I must announce the death of our Holy Father Francis. At 7:35 this morning, the Bishop of Rome, Francis, returned to the house of the Father. His entire life was dedicated to the service of the Lord and of His Church. He taught us to live the values of the Gospel with fidelity, courage and universal love, especially in the favor of the poorest and most marginalized. With immense gratitude for his example as a true disciple of the Lord Jesus, we commend the soul of Pope Francis to the infinite merciful love of the one and true God." Pope Francis is the head of the Catholic Church and for approximately 1.4 billion Roman Catholics represents a direct link to God. He died at his residence in the Vatican City, where popes traditionally live and work. His death came a day after he wished Happy Easter to worshippers at the Vatican St. Peter's Square. The Pope came out in a wheelchair and waved from the balcony of St. Peter's Basilica to cheering crowds below, saying, "Dear brothers and sisters, Happy Easter."
Cari fratelli e sorelle, buona Pasqua.
US Vice President J.D. Vance also met briefly with Pope Francis yesterday to exchange Easter greetings.
God bless you.
In the final months of his life, the Pope's ill health saw him spend several weeks in hospital. On the 14th of February, the 88-year-old was taken to hospital in Rome to be treated for pneumonia. He had experienced difficulties in breathing for several days. He was discharged from hospital on the 23rd of March. Pope Francis was born Jorge Mario Bergoglio in Buenos Aires, Argentina in 1936. The eldest of 5 children, he graduated with a chemical technician's diploma before entering the priesthood. Pope Francis in his youth had part of one lung removed due to severe lung infection, which left him more susceptible to lung illness later in life. He was ordained a Catholic priest in 1969 and became the Archbishop of Buenos Aires in 1998. Following the resignation of Pope Benedict XVI, Pope Francis was elected as his successor on the 13th of March 2013. He chose his papal name in honor of St. Francis of Assisi, who lived a life of humble service to the poor. Pope Francis assumed his papacy during a period when the Catholic Church, and particularly the Vatican, faced significant challenges and a damaged reputation. From the outset, he focused on reform, working to increase transparency within the Church and striving to make it more inclusive and compassionate. A vocal advocate for peace, Pope Francis has consistently condemned war and injustice, promoting a message rooted in mercy, humility and care for all humanity. Pope Francis also visited Sri Lanka in 2015 as part of a 6-day tour of Asia. A special open-air mass was also conducted at Goldface Green. The Pope is also part of a special mass at St. Peter's Basilica on the 25th of April 2022, attended by a group of Sri Lankans, including victims and survivors of the 2019 Easter Sunday attacks. Thousands of people have been gathering in St. Peter's Square in Vatican City to pay their respects to Pope Francis. A papal funeral has traditionally been an elaborate affair, but Pope Francis recently approved plans to make the whole procedure less complex. Previous pontiffs were buried in 3 nested coffins made of cypress, lead and oak. But Pope Francis has opted for a simple wooden coffin lined with zinc. He has also scrapped the tradition of placing the Pope's body on a raised platform in St. Peter's Basilica for public viewing. Instead, mourners will be invited to pay their respects while his body remains inside the coffin with the lid removed. Pope Francis will also be the first pope in more than a century to be buried outside the Vatican. He will be laid to rest in the Basilica of St. Mary Major, one of the 4 major papal basilicas in Rome. Meanwhile, world leaders have been paying tribute to Pope Francis. President Anurakumara Dissanayake has expressed deep sorrow and extended heartfelt condolences on behalf of the people of Sri Lanka following the passing of His Holiness Pope Francis. Posting on X, President Anurakumara Dissanayake said, "It is with deep sorrow that I extend my heartfelt condolences on the passing of His Holiness on behalf of the people of Sri Lanka. His unwavering commitment to peace, compassion and humanity has left an indelible mark on the world." King Charles issued a statement from the royal family saying that he and the Queen will be mourning the devastating loss of this faithful follower of Jesus Christ and that the late Pope would be remembered for his compassion, his concern for the unity of the Church and for his tireless commitment to the common causes of all people of faith. The White House had paid tribute to the Pope in a post on X. "Rest in peace, Pope Francis," the post says, alongside a picture of the Pope meeting US President Donald Trump and his wife Melania, and another picture of the Pope meeting J.D. Vance yesterday. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi also condoled the passing of His Holiness Pope Francis. He hailed him as a beacon of compassion, humility and spiritual courage.
Agustra Events presents Boys Avenue live in Sri Lanka. Kick it to their biggest hits and takes on the 25th April at Water's Edge 7 onwards. Call 077 69 288 57.
Media sponsors Yes 101, Legends 966 and TV1.
In local news, Archbishop of Colombo, His Eminence Malcolm Cardinal Ranjit has accused certain defeated political parties and affiliated media organizations of attempting to disrupt the investigations into the 2019 Easter Sunday attacks. He expressed these views during a special sermon at the St. Anthony's Shrine in Kochikade.
The actions taken by the government that received the report of the Presidential Commission at the time and the attempts made to carry out a genuine and just investigation were later undermined by certain measures. These measures raised suspicion among many that there may be an invisible hand behind the attack. Although there was a promise during the 2019 presidential election to carry out a thorough investigation, certain steps taken by those who came to power afterwards disrupted the process. The failure to present the Presidential Commission report to Parliament and make it public, and the actions taken by some governments that came to power after the attacks to bury the recommendations of the report have further increased our doubts. During the previous administration, those who directed the government attempted to divide the Catholic Bishops' Conference and evade the issue in a despicable manner. This can be described as both a regretful and foolish act. the attempt to shape a narrative through international media is also a shameful move. I must clearly state that the Catholic Bishops' Conference, including myself, holds a unified opinion on this matter. Efforts made by past political leadership to cover up the truth about the attacks are still ongoing. Various state institutions, now under the influence of those same defeated political forces, are functioning like a parallel state. Even after the former Attorney General Dappula de Oliveira openly said that there was a grand conspiracy behind the attack, neither his successor nor the Attorney General's department gave that claim any consideration. Their slow and passive approach, along with the tendency to align with current rulers, suggests the existence of a hidden agenda. This reflects the extent of the power wielded by this parallel state against a government elected by the people. It also shows how far it can go in obstructing justice. We are deeply concerned that certain institutions are operating under the influence of political forces trying to disrupt ongoing investigations, using their media networks and resources granted by political leaders for their protection. We strongly reject this disgraceful effort.
Despite the President being committed to this process, the Archbishop pointed out that the slow pace of certain officials has created numerous obstacles.
Although the President has taken this matter seriously and assigned it to a group of senior officials, the prevailing legal system and the slow attitude of some responsible officers have led to the process being delayed and entangled in various challenges. The people gave the current government a two-thirds majority in the hope of constitutional and legal reforms and to reveal the truth about the atrocities that have darkened our history, such as murders, disappearances, white van abductions, private militias and underworld crimes committed by certain political and military powers. We believed that those responsible would be identified and brought before the law. The 2019 Easter Sunday attacks is another tragic chapter in a long tale of sorrow. If the current legal system cannot deliver justice and clean the country, then it must be changed with courage. The people of this country have clearly shown their support for the present government to do so. We urge the President to take concrete steps to cleanse society of all anti-democratic and politically motivated actions that embolden terrorism. President, let not the blood of innocent victims be forgotten. As you promised on the 6th of October 2024 in Katua, we hope you will not allow this truth to be buried by the passage of time and instead bring all those responsible to justice without delay.
එයට සම්බන්ධ සියලු පුද්ගලයන් නීතිය හමුවට ගෙන එනු ඇතැයි අපගේ ඒකායන බලාපොරොත්තුවයි.
His Eminence Malcolm Cardinal Ranjit also presented several key requests to the President. Present the Presidential Commission report on Easter Sunday attacks to Parliament and make it public, as it is currently only available to the Parliamentary Library. Establish an independent prosecutorial office with full authority to continue investigations and file charges. Reveal the truth to the country and ensure all those accused, regardless of status, are brought before the law. Implement all recommendations made by the Presidential Commission. Launch a full investigation into the Channel 4 documentary and conduct an in-depth inquiry into Azad Maulana, a key witness in the program.
මෙම ප්‍රහාරය ක්‍රියාත්මක වීමට තුඩුදුන්.
We must formulate laws to remove from this country the threat posed by those behind the secret conspiracies that led to this attack and eliminate the parallel state that support them. We must ensure justice, peace and discipline while safeguarding and strengthening human rights. Those in political power must understand that they are not the rulers but the servants of the people. They must protect all citizens, even those who did not vote for them. We must foster a just society and lead our nation towards a new culture where such violent events will never happen again.
නව සංස්කෘතියක් වෙත අප රට මෙහෙයවීම.
A special service was held today at the St. Anthony's Shrine in Kochikade, marking 6 years since the 2019 Easter Sunday attacks under the patronage of His Eminence Malcolm Cardinal Ranjit. During the service, 167 people of Catholic faith who lost their lives in Kochikade and Katua were commemorated and named as heroes of faith or witnesses of faith.
Ravi Margaret Mary, Ravi Niroshan, Shivananam Thyanandan. Proclamation of the official announcement of the Dicastery for the Causes of Saints about the catalogue of the witnesses of the faith. His Eminence Marcello Cardinal Semeraro, Prefect of the Dicastery for the Causes of Saints in the Vatican, has communicated to me by letter dated 21st November 2024 bearing protocol number VAR 8762/21 that the names of the 167 Catholics who lost their lives in the tragic attacks on April 21st, 2019 in the Catholic churches of St. Anthony's Kochikade and St. Sebastian's Katua have been included in the catalogue of the witnesses of the faith in its order book, considering the context of their heroism, which includes historical, social and religious elements of heroism. Additionally, the 7 members of the other faiths who lost their lives on the same day are respectfully remembered. The catalogue outlined below contains the names of these faithful who shed their blood due to violent opposition to their faith, motivated by the odium fidei, hate of the faith. The purpose of this is to propagate and preserve the memories of their witnessing to the faith in perpetuity.
Prior to the service, His Eminence walked in procession from St. Lucia's Cathedral to St. Anthony's Shrine in Kochikade, accompanied by family members of the deceased. A 2-minute silence was then observed to honor the memory of those who lost their lives.
Education thus plays a crucial role in the prevention of terrorism. In this regard, the Catholic Church is privileged to be entrusted each year with the education of around 50 million primary and secondary school children worldwide, and millions more at the tertiary level. In fact, the Catholic Church offers education as a service for children and the young of all faith and no faith, and from every economic stratum, with a particular preference for those whose educational opportunities are limited or even non-existent. In performing this service, Catholic educational institutions strengthen societies by forming responsible and peace-loving citizens. Happily, such Catholic services exist in different parts of this beloved country, Sri Lanka.
What we witnessed was not merely an attack on a church. It was a brutal and inhumane act that struck every location and threatened the very foundation of a civilized society. At this moment, we pray for spiritual peace and eternal liberation for all those who were affected by this tragedy.
ස්වර්ග මොක්ෂ සම්පත් ප්‍රාර්ථනා කරමු.
ආත්ම ශාන්තිය වෙන්ඩි ප්‍රාර්ථිපදෝடு.
On this day, we offer prayers for peace for all those who suffered from this heartbreaking incident 6 years ago. We also pray for comfort and peace for the souls of the departed.
මේ සභාවේ තොප්පියක් දාලා ඉන්නේ මං විතරයි.
I may be the only one wearing a cap in this gathering. This was a calculated attack, carried out either to seize or retain state power. That's how it was discussed then on political platforms, and it continues to be spoken of in that light. His Eminence clearly said at the time that the Muslim community had no involvement in this attack. He bravely pointed out the political hand behind it. His historic declaration helped reassure the Catholic community not to fear. His words continue to live in the hearts of every Muslim until the end of our lives. We are indebted to him. Today, I wish to express our gratitude to the Catholic Christian community and to His Eminence for his principled leadership.
තුතිවන්ත වෙනවා අෂයික් මසූක් ෂාජීර් උස්වි මෞලවිතුමන්ට හින්දු ආගමික වතාවන් සමග
UN resident coordinator in Sri Lanka also spoke at the service.
Accountability is not only a legal responsibility, it's a moral imperative. Without it, wounds remain open, trust erodes, and the cycle of trauma remains. Every person affected by the strategy has the right to know what happened. We welcome recent statements by the government, including the President, renewing its commitment to complete a thorough and transparent investigation and ensure justice. The United Nations and the international community are not the arbiter of truth or justice, but we must repeat at this year's commemoration again and at every opportunity how critical it is to follow due process transparently. This is essential for victims and society to get closure, but also for the legitimacy of institutions which hold societies together. This applies not only to the Easter Sunday attacks, but also to the broader need for justice and accountability. No one should feel forgotten. Let this anniversary be not only a day of mourning, but a moment to renew our shared hope. A shared hope for a Sri Lanka where all can live in safety, dignity, and without fear. May the memory of all those we lost give the country and its authorities the resolve to bring closure to this tragedy.
A book was also launched during the service. A program aimed at providing houses to the families of victims and those who were maimed as a result of the 2019 Easter Sunday attacks was also held this afternoon in Katua, Pitya. The event was presided over by the Archbishop of Colombo, His Eminence Malcolm Cardinal Ranjit. The program commenced with a 2-minute silence in remembrance of His Holiness Pope Francis.
Victims of the 2019 Easter Sunday attacks were remembered during an event held opposite the Zion Church in Batticaloa today, while numerous events around the island were held to commemorate the lives lost due to the attacks.
President Anukumara Dissanayake says that justice will be served for the victims of the 2019 Easter Sunday attacks. He expressed these views at a rally in Kurunegala yesterday. It has now been 6 years since the Easter Sunday attacks. Of these 6 years, 5.5 were spent not on investigating the attacks, but on concealing the truth. In fact, a report was submitted by the Presidential Commission of Inquiry. A Presidential Commission was appointed. It questioned witnesses extensively, recorded evidence from 1,500 individuals and submitted a report. However, once the report was submitted, the Cabinet decided not to implement it. That was the reality. So, what does that mean? It was a government that 5.5 years ago chose not to investigate the Easter Sunday attacks. In 5.5 years, a government can do a great deal to hide the truth behind the Easter attacks. They can conceal many things. Now, 6 months have passed. A new government has come into power and is carrying out investigations. We are receiving reports that some promising results are emerging. We are not interfering with the work of the CID.
we have opened the path for a truly independent investigation. Therefore, it is the National People's Power government that is committed to fulfilling the expectations of the victims and ensuring justice for them. We are empowering these institutions. We are creating the conditions necessary for these investigations to be carried out independently. Based on these investigations, the Attorney General's Department will file cases. The court will then make its decisions accordingly. Today, the responsibility of the people of this country rests on the shoulders of the National People's Power. You have entrusted us with your truth and your support. We will honor that trust.
අධිකරණය ඒ මත තීන්දුවක් දෙයි. අද මේ රටත් ජනතාවගේ වගකීමක් ජාතික ජනබලවේගයේ අපේ හිස මත පැවරී තිබෙනවා. ඔබගේ ශක්තිය සහ දායකත්වය මත. ඔබ අපිට ලබා දී තිබෙනවා. අපි ඒ ඉටු කරනවා.
News First with the people.
The Avadana Nilame of the Temple of the Sacred Tooth Relic, Pradeep Nilanga Dela, said that over 400,000 devotees have visited Kandy to venerate the Sacred Tooth Relic of the Lord Buddha. Due to the increasing number of pilgrims, the time allocated for veneration has been extended by 1 hour starting today. Devotees may now engage in the Dalada Vandana, or the sacred veneration of the Tooth Relic of the Lord Buddha, from 11 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. until the 27th of April.
Kandy District Secretary Indika Udavatta said that steps have been taken to further enhance facilities and public amenities, including sanitation and crowd management facilities, to better accommodate the surge of devotees at the Dalada Vandana. The Sri Lanka Army has urged the public to avoid bringing large bags or luggage. A comprehensive security plan is now in effect, ensuring the safety of the sacred relic, the temple grounds and the thousands of pilgrims attending the exposition. The Dalada Vandana, which commenced on the 18th of April, will continue for 10 days until the 27th of April. Similar to the past few days, more than 100,000 people visited the temple today to pay homage to the sacred tooth relic. To help manage the flow of pilgrims, an additional exit gate has been opened alongside the main entrance.
දලදා හාමුදුරුව ඇත්තටම ජීවමාන වැඩි ඉන්නවා සමානයි හොඳට වන්දනා කළා මේක අපේ රටට ලැබිච්ච වාග්යක් වාසනාවක්.
A woman from Mathura helped her elderly parents, her mother and 84-year-old father, fulfill a lifelong wish to witness the sacred tooth relic.
දන්ත ධාතුන් වහන්සේ දැක්කද? දැක්කා. කීවෙනි වතාවටද දැක්කේ? මීට කලින් දැකලා තියෙනවද? පළවෙනි වතාවටදී. අපයි සතුටුයිද? සතුටුයිද කියලා කියන්නේ. බොහොම සන්තෝෂයි. හැම කෙනාටම ස්තුතිවන්ත වෙනවා. අපිට කැම්බීම් මොනවත් වුමනාවක් නැහැ. අපි ආවේ අපේ බුදුරජාණන් වහන්සේ වැඳ පුදා ගැනීමට. අපි හොඳ ආකාරයෙන්ම දැකලා බලලා වන්දනා කරගත්තා. රැස්වීදිනා වාගේ දැක්කා හිතට.
මම හොරණ මම 18 වෙනිදා ඉඳන් තමයි මේ දලදා වන්ද ගන්න ඕනේ හින්දා ආවේ. දැන් ඇත්තටම පහසුකම් තියෙනවා හොඳයි. අප්‍රමාණ සන්තෝෂයි මේ දලදා වන්ද ගන්න ලැබිච්ච එක ගැන.
දවස් 3ක ඉඳලා වගේ අපි රත්නපුරේ ආවේ. සෑහෙන සන්තෝෂයක් තියෙනවා. ඒ වගේම ලොකු භාග්‍යයක් දලදා වහන්සේ වන්දනාමාන කරන්න ලැබීම.
කෑම කිරිතේ කෝපි හැමදේම හරියට තිබුණා අපිට. ඔව් අපිට හොඳට සැලකුවා. බොහොම ස්තුතියි.
To support devotees in long queues, dancehall stalls have been set up by local residents. A children's art exhibition themed around the Dalada Vandana was also held today. Meanwhile, digital support services have been introduced to assist visitors. Devotees can now access real-time information such as announcements, location of sanitation facilities, dancehall stalls, lost and found counters, and first aid stations by scanning QR codes displayed on the main queue boards. To accommodate the religious observances, several schools within Kandy have been closed from today until the 25th of April. Authorities said that if the exposition is extended beyond the 27th of April, these closures will continue accordingly. These schools are also being used to provide lodging for police and Tri-Forces personnel assigned to temple security, as well as temporary accommodation for elderly and differently abled pilgrims. According to Newsfirst correspondents on the ground, crowds continue to arrive in large numbers from across Sri Lanka.
Former President Ranil Wickremesinghe has been summoned again to appear before the Commission to investigate allegations of bribery or corruption on Friday, the 25th of April. He has been summoned to record a statement related to an investigation being conducted against Member of Parliament Chamar Dasanayake under the Anti-Corruption Act.
Although the former President Ranil Wickremesinghe was summoned to appear before the Commission to investigate allegations of bribery or corruption on the 17th of April, he did not appear, citing his absence from Colombo as the reason. The Commission to investigate allegations of bribery or corruption stated that a new date would be granted subject to an inquiry into whether the reason provided for his absence was justifiable. Meanwhile, Ranil Wickremesinghe stated today that as his lawyer is currently overseas, he will request a date upon the lawyer's return.
I'm not commenting on MP Chamar Sampath right now. I don't care. My lawyer is still abroad. We'll set a date when he comes back. Meanwhile, parliamentarian Chamar Dasanayake was remanded until the 5th of May after being produced before the Badulla Magistrates Court today. He is currently in remand due to an allegation that he collected 1 million rupees for preschools using an official letterhead during his tenure as the Chief Minister of the Uva province and received it through a cheque issued in his own name.
Former President Maithripala Sirisena appeared before the Criminal Investigation Department today to provide a statement in connection with the ongoing investigation into the alleged misuse of the Presidential Fund. He previously appeared before the CID on the 7th of April to provide a statement related to the same investigation.
මම අදීතරන් නෙවෙයි දැන් සති 3කට විතරක් පැමිණිය අදාපු කාරණේටම ඒ සති 3කට කලින් ආවෙත් අදාවෙත් විශේෂයෙන්ම CID එකට පැමිණිල්ලක් ලැබිලා තිබෙනවා ජනාධිපති අරමුදලෙන් සල්ලි දීමේදී මහජන නියෝජිතයින්ට ඒ මහජන නියෝජිතින් මුදල් ලබා ගැනීමේදී නොයෙකුත් වැරදි තොරතුරු
I didn't come just today. I was here 3 weeks ago for the same reason. The CID has received a complaint alleging that certain public representatives provided false information to obtain money from the President's fund. Separate files have been compiled for those suspected of submitting inaccurate details, and the CID obtained relevant information from me regarding those cases. Furthermore, CID officers inform me that if any irregularities are found in the actions of previous presidents, they intend to summon all of them to clarify the facts. That's why I came today. If there have been any irregularities, it's important to uncover the truth. There's nothing wrong with that.
මක් කරනවා කියලා. ඒකට තමයි මම අදාවේ. ක්‍රමිකතාවයක් වෙලා තියෙනවා නම් එහෙම හොයන එක හොඳයි. ඒකේ වැරද්දක් නැහැ.
ඔබ තමයි හිටපු ජනාධිපති කෙනෙක්. පාස්කු ප්‍රහාරයෙන් සම්බන්ධ යම්
නෑ හරි ඔබතුමා නෑ දැන් ඒක අපි එක අතර මේක නෑ ඔබතුමා හරි ජයවා හොඳයි. ඔව් අපි එනවා දැන්.
Meanwhile, the Mathura Magistrates Court issued notices to 2 people today, including IGP Deshabandhu Tennakone, who are currently on bail, to appear before the court on the 25th of April. The notice follows allegations that IGP Tennakone violated court-imposed bail conditions by leaving the court premises in a motor vehicle on the 10th of April, despite the court previously rejecting a request made by Tennakone's legal team seeking permission for police protection during his departure. In addition to Deshabandhu Tennakone, the magistrate also ordered the issuance of a notice to the owner of the vehicle used to appear in court the same day for further proceedings. Meanwhile, former Minister Mervyn Silva has been further remanded until the 5th of May. This order was issued when the case was taken up once again today before Mahara Magistrate Kanchana N. Silva. The case has been filed against the former minister under the Public Property Act for allegedly selling a government-assigned land to a private buyer.
The local government election Sri Lanka 2025.
Minister of Agriculture, Livestock, Land and Irrigation K.D. Lanka highlighted the critical role of empowering provincial administrative institutions to improve the efficiency of state operations at the grassroots level. He expressed these views during a rally in Kalutara yesterday.
Electing a madman won't help. Electing a rascal won't help. There's no need to go on about it because the people already know the truth. No need to keep talking about the chairpersons. What's the point of talking about the past leaders? Roads are neglected, overgrown and left unattended. There's no Montessori system. Those who served as chairman would leave after 2 months, only to return with fancy vehicles. Even if local government secretary worked properly, or if a police officer was doing their job, they would be mistreated. If religious leaders were united, they'd still face the same challenges. This is how local councils operated. Do we need that again? No, we don't. The biggest problem in politics was the mess that was created. It wasn't just a small issue. It was a huge mess. Now we've cleaned up that. The smaller issues still need attention. We've accomplished much bigger tasks, haven't we? They lied about saying that we won't let the Dalada Vandana happen, or even offer alms to a monk. If someone has 2 houses, they'll take 1. If they have 2 cars, they'll take 1. We never said anything about that. When they criticized us heavily, the people still voted for us. Now, if those promises turn out to be lies, will they still vote for us? We need to rebuild local governance in our villages so that no one can speak against us.
General Secretary of the United National Party, Thalatha Attukorala, voiced her criticism of opposition leader Sajith Premadasa's recent actions at a meeting held today at the party headquarters.
I was also involved during the time this party began to split, but I was not the one who caused it. I was part of the process. Since August, I've been engaged in efforts to bring things back together. I told the leader, let's try to unite this. After all, there are UNP members on both sides. He listened to us. Ranjit Bandara from the Samagi Jana Balavegya met with him. Kabir Hashim also met with him. He gave us the opportunity to explore ways to move forward and even appointed representatives. Vijayawardena was one of them. We held discussions at our house trying to find common ground. But for some reason, those efforts eventually fell apart. No matter how clearly you try to explain it, the leader of the Samagi Jana Balavegya, Sajith Premadasa, simply refuses to understand. The responsibility for the current situation lies entirely with Sajith Premadasa, not with the historic leaders who have shaped this country. Let me remind you, Sajith Premadasa is someone who fails to acknowledge the contributions of others. He is a man who quickly forgets his roots. Keep that in mind. We were given the responsibility of conveying a message that those committed to protecting grassroots level politics should at least come together for this election. Accordingly, after our discussions, when it became clear that the MPs from the parties who were engaging with us risked losing their parliamentary seats, both the deputy leader and I decided to leave it be. The leader made every effort until the very last moment. We even ensured that our influence was consistently held in the capital and the most significant city, Colombo. But when it was time to make a real effort to unite and build a strong team, he didn't rise to the occasion. He stayed passive even when we were asked to come together and fight for victory. So friends, I appeal to all those within the Samagi Jana Balavegya. Sajith Premadasa is a deeply selfish individual. He speaks of becoming president in 4 years, using all of you to get there. I urge you, don't follow a leader who lacks compassion for innocent people. Don't place your trust in someone so disconnected from the struggles of the people.
Acting President of the Court of Appeal, Justice Mohammad Lafat Tahir, stated before the Court of Appeal today that since there appears to be a problematic situation in the election law, it is appropriate for the legislature to pay due attention to rectifying it. The Acting President of the Court of Appeal made those remarks while ordering the dismissal of 60 writ petitions filed against the rejection of nomination papers submitted for the local government elections.
The acting president of the Court of Appeal emphasized that the government has incurred a loss of around 40 million rupees due to delays in the election process caused by petitions filed against the rejection of nomination papers submitted for the local government elections. He stated that the order was given considering the fact that the petitioners failed to appear in court within the stipulated time frame and that unnecessary delays in the election process must be avoided. The petitions were reviewed by a bench of the Court of Appeal comprising the acting president of the Court of Appeal, Justice Mohammad Lafa Tahir and Justice Priyantha Fernando. The Election Commission and several others were named as respondents in these petitions, which were filed in response to the rejection of nominations submitted by political parties and independent groups, including the United National Party and the Sri Lanka Muslim Congress for local government bodies in Batiklo, Jayala and Kalbune. Issuing the verdict after considering the arguments presented by both parties regarding the petitions, Justice Tahir stated that the court had previously directed the returning officers to re-accept the nomination papers that had been rejected due to various reasons. These included the submission of original copies of birth certificates, the attestation of birth certificates by a justice of the peace, issues related to the oath under the 7th schedule of the Constitution, and the failure to submit documents within the prescribed time frame. While noting that the decision will remain in effect unless a higher court issues a different order, the presiding judge said that he expects the respondents to comply with the directives accordingly. Furthermore, the presiding judge of the Court of Appeal expressed that upon reviewing the contents of the petitions concerning the rejection of nominations, it is evident that there exists a problematic situation within the election law and that it would be more appropriate for the legislature to address and rectify this issue. He also stated that he hopes the necessary legislative amendments to revise the relevant law will be presented to Parliament.
And people listen to us. And also because they don't like that wasteful, corrupt political culture. So the smoothest transition ever, I think any country could learn a lesson, you know.
Just the fact that you're a woman is not sufficient. You need to have a good backbone. You need to be sure of who you are. And you need to have the strength to speak up.
After the Aragal era, we are led to believe that there are a lot of young people who are interested in politics, in governance, in system change and all of that.
Thousands of people who are involved. It's very polarizing. So we have to seek certain reconciliation also in the society when we talk about this. We shouldn't always be polarizing. We shouldn't always be, leveraging it politically.
Face to Face, Monday to Thursday at 8 p.m.
ඔබේ ගමේ නගරේ දේශපාලනයේ හෙට දවස සතිය දිනවල සවස 6:30ට.
Auditions for Shakti Crown Season 2 continued today with much enthusiasm.
Today's auditions for Shakti Crown Season 2 were held at the Mahatma Gandhi International Centre in Matale, with contestants from the area and its vicinity showcasing their talents to secure a spot at Sri Lanka's premier Tamil reality show.
உயிரே இல்லாத கல் கூட காமமுறும் உன் மீது காதல் கொண்ட மானுடன் தான் என்ன ஆகுவான்
வரம் கிடைத்தும் நான் தவற விட்டேன் மன்னிப்பாயா
Auditions for Shakti Crown Season 2 will power on in the coming days, seeking to unearth Sri Lanka's next singing sensations and take their voices to the global arena.
If you do not perform, or if you have not performed, and if you do not perform, this is a protest vote we are going to place, and that signal, that protest vote will go down very well because the government will know that their popularity is coming down and they will have to arrest him.
This government needs checks and balances.
You can't say only winning parties announce their candidates. There have been it has been time and time again where, candidates are chosen.
Our police is still being restructured and reformed at the moment, and that is part of the reason. But I also think organized crime is a bit unsettled at the moment.
Face the Nation every Wednesday at 9:30 p.m.
ANC Education announced the grand opening of its newest academic building located at the 416 R.A. Dimel Mawatha, Colombo 3 today.
ANC Education announced the grand opening of its newest academic building located at 416 R.A. Dimel Mawatha, Colombo 3 today. This landmark event marks the beginning of ANC's education transformation aimed at empowering the next generation of global learners, supplemented by the new management and its visionary leadership.
ANC is very unique. So we thought that we should give more facilities to our students. So that's why we have moved to the second building on the R.A. Dimel Mawatha. This is the second building on R.A. Dimel Mawatha. With our expansion and facilities to students, we thought we should move to a new building as well. And today is the day we are celebrating that movement of ANC to a new building. I am sure this will give many facilities to students, and what they are expecting in a foreign university is available in Sri Lanka for degree completion. That's the uniqueness. The final beneficiary of all these things are students.
Designed to inspire creativity and connection, the building is a symbol of ANC's promise to deliver not just degrees, but transformative journeys through an enhanced student life experience.
China has warned it will hit back at countries that make deals with the United States that hurt Beijing's interests as the trade war between the world's two biggest economies threatens to drag in other nations. The comments came after reports that the US plans to pressure governments to restrict trade with China in exchange for exemptions to US tariffs.
The Trump administration has started talks with trading partners over tariffs, with the Japanese delegation visiting Washington last week, and South Korea is set to start negotiations this week. Since returning to the White House in January, Trump has imposed hefty taxes on Chinese imports, while other countries have also been hit with levies on their goods. A Chinese Commerce Ministry spokesperson said, quote, "Appeasement cannot bring peace, and compromise cannot earn one respect," end quote. It added, quote, "China firmly opposes any party reaching a deal at the expense of China's interests. If this happens, China will never accept it and will resolutely take countermeasures," end quote. According to foreign media, the comments came after reports that the US plans to use tariff negotiations to pressure dozens of countries into imposing new barriers on trade with China. Trump has said more than 70 countries have reached out to start negotiations since the tariffs were announced.
And that's a wrap of Primetime News for tonight.
Thank you for watching.
Good night.